I'm really tired of living in a world where you go in with strong female protagonists and people say, well, if you can beef up the male lead, then we can give you the financing. And you hear it all the time. Although people pay a lot of lip service to gender parity and sexual parity, it's not really there in the market forces or in people's perception of what the market does. I'm not sure which. So it's been, it's tough to stick to your principles, but we've always tried to do that, which is why with Enlightenment Productions we really went for it, and with Hanan's help producing, to try to work outside the industry restrictions in terms of having the characters that we wanted to have the love stories that we wanted to have between two women. I didn't look at myself as a lesbian filmmaker who wants to make films for lesbians, about lesbians. That wasn't how I imagined it. I saw them as being relatively mainstream stories. And that wasn't the case. I want to live in a world where we can have lesbian characters in films without it being an issue. The same way you don't come out of every film and go, oh, that was a great, heterosexual sidekick or friend or whatever. It's not something that's remarked on, and that's kind of where I would like to see movies, where you could have a lesbian romance or not and still have it be a mainstream film.
It's exactly that kind of relationship I wanted to avoid at all costs.
So your fiancé is not like that?
Hani? No. He's an Arab and was born and brought up in Jordan, but he's different from the rest. Kind, open-minded, and he makes a great martini.
He sounds wonderful.
Yeah, he is. He is.
I think I Can't Think Straight is very autobiographical, clearly. And I think that really sprang out of all the trauma that Hanan and I went through as a couple, coming out 20 years ago to an Indian Muslim family and a Palestinian Christian family. And I think to put that in the context of a romantic comedy felt like a better way to explore that than to go into all of the real stress and drama that we experienced.
Did you manage to get on a plane?
Plane? Ha! You know I'll never get on a plane. Not after that dream I had. The crash. The devastation.
The dream was in 1967.
Right after the Six-Day War. Israel has a lot to answer for. Anyway, I wouldn't have missed it. I wanted to meet the man who made it this far. Again.
Amo, I love him.
Of course you love him. He's Christian and he's rich.
Already I think I have a tendency to idealize my main characters, which I'm trying to work on. But I think it's hard, you don't want to do that too much because it becomes too preachy. It becomes, this is the point of view that you want the viewer to take, and everybody else is being judged. And I think when you start to judge characters as a filmmaker, that's a problem. So I think it's important to show as much of what really goes on, even if it's not traditionally the right thing to do. With political backdrops in my films, I don't think I'm looking to educate people about the politics, but I think it's a definite byproduct. And I think it's an easier way to give people a slice of the political world of apartheid South Africa amongst the Indian community in the 1950s, rather than making an overtly political film where it can feel a little bit worthy. I think when you're caught up in a romance, when you're caught up in the pressures of a marriage and the awakening of somebody to something new in elements that we all feel in our day-to-day lives, I think it's an easier thing to digest the backgrounds, and it becomes a natural part of the story.
We all know it's an offence for blacks to eat in the same place as whites.
There are no whites here. Present company excluded.
As non-blacks then. This is an Indian area. Maybe coloureds, but no blacks.
The World Unseen was very much a reaction to my family's history in South Africa, a reimagining of my grandmother's life as it could have been had she been able to open that door in her mind and reconceive a different life for herself. I think films at their best can be like a human instruction manual, and I don't mean that in a very didactic way, that this is how you must live, but in a way it's, we tell stories as people to figure out how to live better lives, or how to live at all, how to get through things, and I think that's what makes stories so irresistible to us as human beings, and I think visual storytelling and filmmaking is a huge and most influential part of that. I've been astounded by the response that we've had to the films that have been out there, especially from I Can't Think Straight and The World Unseen. from women especially, who felt that it gave them a window on a possibility that they hadn't seen before, for women of color, for lesbians, for people from Eastern backgrounds, where being lesbian or gay is a cultural taboo. And the outpouring that had, and the life stories I've heard from people who've literally come and told me, I got out of an arranged marriage and I've changed my life and I've left my parents' house and they threatened to kill me. Literally these kinds of stories. I mean, it's humbling, and it's absolutely rammed home to me the power of film to make a difference.